Hi, and welcome back to Pedals and Tea. I apologize for the clickbaity title. But we're going to do a little bit, something a little bit different today. It's about a topic that I haven't seen people talk about, or at least not much, which is using amp sims, modelers, and plugins as pedal platforms. And we're also going to do some comparisons. But yeah, before we get started, the goal of this video is not to say one is better than the other. It's just, it's purely a comparison and sharing of experience that I've collected over the years of wasting so much time with this stuff. Both live and in a more controlled, like studio environment. Also, I'm not a native English speaker, so bear with me if I formulate stuff weirdly. Yeah, and if you want to skip ahead to the comparison, yeah, go ahead and do that, probably 1-2 minutes. Sorry. And yeah, I think I'll add, what's it called, like chapters down in the time bar. Okay, so two crucial aspects we need to talk about when comparing digital amp modeling or analog solid state systems in my experience, and for the sake of this video, are dynamics and linearity, for lack of a better term. I'm no engineer, so forgive my phrasing. By linearity, I mean consistency regarding the tonal spectrum and other aspects of the signal, regardless of level. So tubes, again, I'm no engineer, but tubes are not linear at all, meaning their response is not going to be the same across the board when they're pushed harder or softer, so it always depends. There's going to be a lot more variation than a transistor would show. The same function, which is usually designed for consistency. Of course, that kind of includes dynamics as well. Sorry, but for the sake of this video, we will only be dealing with clean amps with pedals in front. So dynamics in this case doesn't mean edge of breakup settings, but rather an interaction between the signal hitting the amp and the amp, or the amp sim itself. Okay. Next thing that's also important to note is that, of course, not all modelers and amp sims, and of course, not all solid state amps are alike. They're not. I'm well aware of this, but the things I will point out are things that I have noticed across the board with different systems. May they be Kempers, XFX, Helix, Fender Tone Master, and so on. Also, all of these are systems that are not specifically designed to interact with pedals the same way that a tube amp designer or tube amp manufacturer would probably put emphasis on in the design stage. Just because they're usually meant, like digital modeling is usually, because of convenience, meant as a just as a standalone system, I would say. So again, this is not about knocking on amp modeling or solid state solutions, rather than just sharing some experiences and demonstrating some things. I'm sure the algorithm of amp modeling units and amp plugins also takes into account the aspects of linearity that I mentioned, in the same sense that the EQ curve and so on will modulate depending on provided input level. But yeah, so that's another point, saying that all of these systems are not alike. But we're gonna use one as an example for stuff that I notice across the board. Okay, let's get a little bit more practical. It's not going to be a super scientific experiment, but rather a demonstration of what I feel are some typical things to look out for when playing through a modeler or a VST plugin. I've been asked about this. This is one of the reasons why I'm making this video, and I think it's really important. Also, I'm running out of pedals. I can't afford to buy 4 pedals every month. So if you know any manufacturers that might be interested in sending me some stuff, of course I'm going to send it back. Just to review, shoot a message or link me or whatever. Instagram is always good for this kind of stuff. Okay, so the setup for this first part consists of 2 Hiwatt 100 watt amps, one 4-input model from 1974, which is this one, and a 2-input model from 1978, which is this one. This one, the latter, kind of serves as a sort of like control group, if you will, and just to have a baseline of 2 amps that are similar, reacting in a similar way, because otherwise it just wouldn't really say much if I say, oh, this amp behaves this way and the plugin doesn't. So yeah, so control group, baseline, whatever. Both of these amps are running through a Tortuga Captor X with the same York Audio Hiwatt IR as the plugin uses as well. Like I loaded the one into the plugin as well, so IR is the same. Both amps are set to the same exact EQ settings. I'm going to insert a picture here. And yeah, I'm aware that that doesn't account for differences in pot values, etc. Also, the preamp circuits from the early 70s Hiwatts are a little bit different than the ones from the late 70s Hiwatt. Both amps are crystal clean, with a lot of headroom left before any audible clipping. I set the Hivolt plugin to sound as close as possible to the amps using the onboard EQ and accounting for the clipping threshold of these 2 amps. And this is what that looked like. It's quite a substantial visual difference, but yeah, well, ideally you don't adjust an EQ with your eyes rather than with your ears. So yeah, clean humbucker Tele on the middle position, going through each one back to back, and then with some light gain in front from a rat, and then heavier gain on the bridge pickup. Okay, so what I notice most of all, and this is kind of going back to what I said earlier about linearity, is that the EQ response of both amps seem to shift with differences in gain, while the plugin basically stays somewhat static in its bass character. And that's not a bad sound at all, don't get me wrong, I really like it. But with both tube amps, especially in the higher gain clip, I no longer feel like there's a pre-constructed tonal sandwich consisting of the pedal sound on top of the somewhat non-affected clean signal, or the non-affected clean sound of the plugin. Instead, it just seems to become this one unit that blends together seamlessly. Kind of hard to describe, but maybe you'll get what I mean. And again, this is not supposed to be a matter of quality or desirability or anything. It's just purely subjective. My point here is, and I'm sorry that I'm rambling so much, but I just want to get this across clearly. My point here is that this blend is something that I, in my experience, have only ever encountered with tube amps. That absolutely doesn't mean that all tube amps blend the pedal signal with the clean signal really well. It just means that this seems to be something that digital modeling and also analog solid state amps that are designed to emulate a clean tube amp, for that matter, don't do. Like this, for example, is it's from a German company. It's designed to be basically a Fender clean channel. It's purely solid state, but yeah, it just doesn't do that. And I've encountered this with a lot of different things. It just doesn't, and that's fine. Again, that's not a matter of like quality. This is bad. This is good. This is just different. I was asked specifically by a viewer, and I feel so famous right now, if I could focus a little bit on fuzzes in conjunction with tube and digital pedal platforms. So that's what I'm gonna focus on in the following part of this video, okay? Yeah, luckily I've been tracking a whole lot of guitars for an upcoming EP. Using both the 4-input 1974 Hiwatt as well as the Hivolt plugin with the exact same signal chain. If you're interested in that, I made a video about that. I'll try to link it somehow. I don't know how that works yet. And the exact same guitar parts. So again, the only difference is amp or amp sim. And the, what's it called? Yeah, the IR is the same as well. Okay, so both of these rigs sound great. The real amp may be a little bit fatter and less sandwichy, while the plugin brings out a clang that I really like. And I think looking for a better or a worse here is not really appropriate, because they complement each other really well, which is my last point for this video. Just use both. As with tea or coffee or all good things in life, you can never go wrong with a good blend. In this case, the tube signal double tracked, hard left right, and the plug-in signal blended in 60 left, 60 right. Yeah, let's have a listen to that. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So yeah, that's it from me. I'm sorry for my incessant rambling, but this is, I wanted to be as complete in getting my point across, or my points across, as possible. I hope this was interesting to you. Please leave a comment, hit me up, let me know what you guys preferred. If you really like the plugin better, maybe. You know, I mean, we're talking so much about different stuff, Tube always sounding great, and you know, all those people on the forums, don't get me started. And yeah, let me know what you like most. Shoot me a message on Instagram. I love talking gear and connecting with you guys, so let's do that. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.